Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much again for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day. Taking a look here at Balancer, BAL. This is a very interesting coin with a unique price action here. This is a request from one of my community members here, if I recall correctly, Hazal. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that, but thanks again so much for providing just a lot of good content in our community. You've been interacting and deeply appreciate that. It's really nice to be able to have somebody like yourself in our community. So appreciate you. Thank you so much. Let's take a look here. Of course, the backend data, kind of see where we're at here for Balancer. We can see on the left-hand side here, this last 7 days worth of liquidation, that there's a chunky amount of liquidation here. Maybe not a ton, but a lot for this coin, down as low as about 194. Okay, so we could see the price pull back a little bit lower. We also see here for larger, bigger picture that there's a pretty heavy concentration upwards about $2.30. But also equally as much, if not a lot more, at about 150. So a bit of a spread there. However, we're kind of in the middle of that, right? We got this 230, 150, we're at like the low $2, upper 190 range. So honestly, both directions could occur. We got to kind of look at some TA to kind of double check and see what might happen next. But if we look at the current price action right now, we can recommend and understand that the price will probably go a little bit lower before it goes higher, strictly based on liquidation alone. We look at fair value gaps here. There's a pretty substantial amount of them, all the way as down as low as about 170. Okay, so again, there's good chance we could see that too. We've essentially broken bearish as well, being under the 50-day SMA, but more importantly, breaking this descending trend line. Okay, usually when you see a break to the descending trend line, you'll see a bearish backtest, the more local high. A lot of times that can work out to be, somewhat of a head and shoulders type of pattern. We got some things we want to kind of pay attention to here, but further downside just seems sensible from the outside looking in. And, without just kind of looking deeper, I guess you could say, I'm fairly bearish in what I see here so far. Look at the daily time frame, we can see that this ascending trend line is running moderately concurrent with the 20-day SMA. Usually the 20-day SMA is an important factor to kind of be above in general on any time frame, if you're kind of considering a trade in whichever direction, right? So with us considering a long, I would imagine that's kind of the hypothetical. This is a positive sign. However, we look at 50 on the RSI, we've lost that significantly. Stochastic's pulling back, money flow index is down, and MACD's diverging. There's really not a lot here telling us this is a good sign. While it's a consolation to be above the 20-day SMA, I prefer to use the 4-hour time frame for confirming factors when it comes to this transition that we're seeing, because the daily time frame has a slower moving averages, they're slower lagging, or they lag behind a little slower, if you will, and it doesn't give you the best interpretation. We see here we're below all moving averages, barely holding on the 100-day SMA there. We got fair value gap below us. Significant amount of momentum. We look at the 4-hour time frame, we're getting closer to 30 on the RSI. Stochastic pulling back, and MACD still diverging. These are all bearish signs too. The only thing it might be a slight consolation, and honestly the money flow index isn't low enough to warrant this. Usually I like to take a long on 30 on the RSI on the 4-hour time frame, as long as the money flow index is lower, but it's not, so I don't really feel comfortable with that. Okay. Again, these are just little things that I kind of look for. It's not an exact science, but it just increases the odds of success here. And there's a solid chance we could very well see the price just recover instantly, because if Bitcoin bottomed out here, just say hypothetically, then we should be able to see the price continue higher. Okay, so again, there's that as well. But generally speaking, we're breaking bearish, and I'm going to be more interested in taking a short somewhere in the 205 range than I would taking a long right now. Okay, taking a look at the hourly. Let's confirm the Ichimoku cloud and kind of see here that we are still below the cloud. 0 reasons to consider a long. I would say no reason to consider a short just yet either, because lagging span, while it's free and clear of the price action, we've had a pretty significant amount of momentum to the downside, right? We take a look here, we're hitting a 9 on TD sequential. Generally speaking, you're going to see some sideways action followed by a potential retracement. In this case, retracement would go up. So if you see here previously, price hits an 8, comes up to a 6, pulls back. Hypothetically, we're probably going to see the price come up again, continue lower. Again, strictly hypothetical, but that's potential nonetheless. We take a look here at this descending type of trend. While this is not an exact trend line per se, it gives us kind of perspective of what to pay attention to. I'd want to be above this descending trend line before I take a trade, okay, at least a trade to the upside. So once more, it'll be a lot easier to be able to provide these type of trend lines once we have more data, but for right now, you can generally see that we're establishing lower highs, and that's the key takeaway here. While trend lines are never perfect, this gives us a consideration to wait and pump the brakes before we take a trade. Hypothetically, you take a long position, you'd want to at the very least be back up above the clouds somewhere in this range, or possibly even somewhere right here if you're really desperate. Okay, and again, you don't want to trade with desperation. It's not a good fit. It's not a good look either. It's a stinky clone. So what I want to say here is that this coin looks like it's tentatively bottomed out, but again, majority of the market looks like that right now. So best thing to do in this situation is wait a little bit longer. I would much rather consider a short when the price comes up to this area here, this local fib level at 205. Maybe consider a short at this point, because again, that would be a rejection off the cloud, and a lot of other confirming factors will likely be present there. We're probably going to be rejecting off 50 in the RSI at that point too. And those are things I like to look for. Once more, you kind of reaffirm that and look at the 4-hour time frame. You confirm with these moving averages here. A lot of confluence right here at this range. Okay, so me personally, I think that we're going to possibly see the price wick up and then continue lower. We'll see. Of course, a little too early to tell. Hopefully that makes sense. I described that correctly. Deeply appreciate you watching. Again, please always hit the like button when you watch these videos. Helps grow the channel, gets us in front of more people, and maybe less views for those moon boys who are, I don't know why, they seem to get a lot of views just because they tell you that things are going to go where it's probably not. Once more, we don't know where this is going right now. There's no definitive direction, but the obvious inclination is that further down would make sense. Okay, we just want to wait a little bit longer before we consider taking a trade, either to the upside or downside, because Bitcoin is still kind of finding its bottom. All right, folks, that's what we got. Thanks again. We'll look forward to seeing the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Oh, future reference, I'm sorry if I missed this. I do have playout charts on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord, so if you're not familiar, check these out. I'm going to go ahead and post one here, of course, for this coin as well, so just know that's where you can find it. Have a good rest of your day. We'll see you soon. Thank you.